Hello and welcome back to my craft room on this cold but sunny day here in the UK. It is really cold. I've got my cardigan on, but at least it's not pouring down with rain like it was yesterday. We had a big old storm yesterday. Anyway, so it's been a busy couple of weeks. I was offline for a little while and I'm back on form again now, and it's just non-stop. So I have this lovely Craftiosity craft kit here, which I've had for well over a week now. I've already done the unboxing. I will link to the unboxing so you can see that if you would like to. Craftiosity very kindly sent me this kit. It's a monthly subscription kit, so they let me choose one of their past boxes to try out, review, try out the craft and everything, and share it with all of you. I chose the Bargello work one, which because it just looked really, I loved the design and the colours and everything. Loved what was in the box, really happy with it. Can't wait to get in and try the craft because I've never done it before. It's something I've never tried before. I think it's going to be very beginner friendly, and everything I need is here in the box. I will link to Craftiosity below. I won't go into the details and everything about the subscription now because I did that in the unboxing video. I will link to that so you can check it out if you would like to, but I will link to the to their website as well so you can check it out. So let's see how we get on. So this is, I love the box. I love the lack of plastic. It really appeals to me, and it's so beautifully presented. Really love it. I left it all packed up in the box so I could have the fun of taking it all out again. Have a wonderful crafternoon. Don't mind if I do. Look at that. I would definitely keep this box either for storage or to pack up a gift for a friend or whatever. Here's the templates that I'm going to need. Some lovely, apparently you always get some things for your clipboard, for your inspiration board. You always get these lovely prints, which I thought were really nice quality. Bargello plant pot craft kit. It's going to end up being a pencil pot for me probably. Never have too many pencil pots in this room. I've watched the video, but it's all very straightforward. Hardly needed to watch it really, but very nice clear photos and instructions here as well. So what you get in the kit, some of it is over, one piece of it is over here because I didn't want to fold it up and stick it back in the box. So this was folded up in the bottom of the box, so I've just left it out flat to get rid of the crinkle in it. So this is the plastic canvas that we're going to stitch into. This will become the base of the pot. You've got the tapestry needle is all supplied, and you've got these 4 beautiful colours. I'm accidentally beautifully colour coordinated. Hang on, I've got to come back to show you this. Look at that, couldn't have done it better if I tried. So this is lovely cotton, 100% cotton yarn, Rika Rumi, really cute. Love this packaging. I will put all of this away now to save, probably to wrap up a present for one of my friends. So I just think that's beautiful. All of this came about because I decided I'd have a look at craft box subscriptions based in the UK, and because I just think they're so much fun. I think the whole idea of subscription boxes really appeals to me, and I just think in the run up to Christmas it's a nice idea for, you know, a gift for a friend or family, or to put on your own wish list. So let's have a, I'm not gonna, as I say, give you all the details about the subscription and things now because I've done all that already. I'm gonna go straight into the craft because I'm itching to have a go. Right, now when I looked at the instructions I thought it seemed so obvious. To be honest, I wasn't really sure why I needed this chart. I guess I might get to a point where, and why I've got sheet 1 and sheet 2, they run in together, so altogether it will be that long to wrap right around the pot. Oh, the other part is it's been sitting on my desk. It's now got Werther's Originals in it. Perhaps this will become a sweetie pot. Don't lose the needle. Have you lost the needle already? No, it's there. Okay. Let's get rid of all the bits that we don't need yet. Put that to one side, but keep it handy. So the only thing I need that's not in this kit is the scissors. Brilliant. I love the idea that, because with Craftiosity, it's a different craft every month, and they put everything you need in the box, bar very simple things like you might need a pencil, a ruler, a pair of scissors, you know, things that most of us have around the place. Cut a length of blue cotton yarn approximately 1 to 1.5 meters in length. Now I am going to slavishly follow the pattern I'm going to slavishly follow this pattern because I really like that anyway. But I did have a look at, let me just show you. I did have a look at other Bargello patterns, and I thought, if I really enjoy doing this, I believe I've got some plastic canvas tucked away that I've had hanging around for donkey's years. I might have another go and do some more of this. So let me just quickly show you. I'll share my screen a minute. Here we go. So I've just put in Bargello patterns and clicked on Google Images, and look at all these different effects you can get with this. Love this one here, this effect. There's loads and loads of it, and over the years, this, you know, I've seen this from time to time and never done anything with it. I think people do like a crocheted version, you can do a quilted version, you know, and the traditional kind of by needlepoint, which is sort of what I'm doing now. Yeah, all sorts of different ideas. So I might have a little play if I get some leftovers, because I've got lots of cotton yarns like this that I could use, and I'm sure I've got some more of that plastic canvas, and of course I could equally well do it. I've got kind of fabric canvas as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to give this a go. Okay, about 1 meter or 1.5 meters. Well, I'm going to make it quite long. I think if you make it too long, it gets knotted, doesn't it? So it's probably about 1.25 meters actually. I love trying a new craft. It's so exciting. That's one of the things out of these boxes, isn't it? It makes you try things you might not have thought of or got round to. Or, you know, yes, you could go out and buy all the bits and pieces yourself, but would you think of it? And you'd probably have to buy more than you actually need to try it. Just makes it really easy to give it a go. And then if you really love doing it, you can always go and get more bits and pieces and kind of carry on exploring it on your own, can't you? But it just gets you started. I've just made a cock up of that. Fallen at the first hurdle, can't thread my needle, too lazy to go and get my threader. It says you don't tie a knot. Start in the bottom left square, bring your needle up through the square from the back to the front, and leave a 2 or 3 centimetre tail of yarn at the back. I believe the idea is that you don't need to tie a knot, you just weave the tail end in as you go. So I'm going right there, the very bottom left square. Pull my needle through. What I'm going to do is show you the start of this, and then it's going to be a case of lots and lots of repetition. So I'll sit and work through it, listen to an audio book, and then come back and show you. 2 or 3 centimetres, or not long then. And I'll come back and show you how it turns out, or when I get to the next stage of sewing it up or doing the base. Skip up and over 2 more squares, and you can see they show you, because the photos are so nice and detailed. Here we go. You know exactly what you're doing. Up and over 2 more squares, and then push your needle back down through the 4th square. It's beautifully explained. So I've come up through that one, and now I'm gonna skip this one, and go in this 4th one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, going back down through that one. It's going to be so easy. Take my time because I don't want to do it in a rush and end up in a tangle. Each stitch you make should start in square 1, skip 2 full squares, and end in stitch 4. So I'm going to be doing the same stitch over and over again, and that's my first stitch complete. Now I bring my needle back down to the bottom of the canvas to the right of my first stitch. However, this time I bring it up through the 2nd square from the bottom. So I'm basically going to start doing this zigzag thing. So instead of coming up here, I'm going to come up here. And this is where I have to start now, holding the thread up there so that it gets caught into my ongoing stitches. So I don't have ends to weave in at the end, which is a boon. Okay, so basically what it's telling me is I'm just repeating this another 5 times, each time moving the stitch up by 1 to create a diagonal line of stitches. And I guess this is why you've got these charts, so you can check. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I start coming down again. where's the bit where it says about, yeah, your stitches should encase the yarn tail on the back of the plastic canvas, and then when you finish your thread and it's time to start a new one, you just run the thread through the back and cut off any excess. One thing I think would be nice, I might even suggest to them, is because I think this is going to be a fairly obvious pattern to follow, and I'm not sure I really need this chart. I certainly don't feel like I need the whole, I suppose, to count how many repetitions and things. But one thing I think would be nice would be a blank chart with just the squares, so you could use it to create your own pattern. And I guess I could kind of do that anyway, or I could use some graph paper, but that might be a nice little touch. If they want any suggestions, I might throw that in there. Just going to be nice, relaxing. I love doing something that's kind of quite soothingly repetitive. And because I love the colours, that makes it fun to work with as well. That makes a difference to me, working with nice bright colours. Well, I'm going up one again. Skip 2 squares, 1, 2, go down through that one. And I'm holding my, I'm holding my tail end of the thread at the back, so it's getting caught up in the stitches that I'm making. Up one again, so I'm doing 7 like this, aren't I? It's the 7th one is the top of that kind of triangle. Skip 2, go down there. And it strikes me that this is, you know, it's simple. Just following a very simple pattern like this, it's easy enough that kids could do it. Or if you struggle with your eyesight a bit, or you can't do fiddly stitches anymore, this would be quite a nice thing to do, and quite satisfying because you're making something that looks nice and is useful. I like it when I'm crafting. I mean, you know, you craft for the joy of doing it, but I think for me it's a bonus if it turns out to be something that's useful that I can enjoy using every day, or at least looking at. And if this is too simple for you, you've got plenty of scope here to create your own more exciting design if you want to. It very much depends on what mood I'm in. For me today, I just feel like doing something easygoing while I listen to an audio book. You know, I just bought that the Matthew Perry book was on offer with Audible, so I used one of my credits to buy that, because he's just passed away, isn't he? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. So if I wanted to, I could check here as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now I start coming down again, and you can see that at the back that loose tail is just getting caught in all my stitches. Okay, so this time I'm gonna come back down. I'm gonna come back here 1 square lower again and start working my way down. Because one thing to bear in mind, if you did want to make your own pattern up, as they point out somewhere, I'm sure I saw somewhere in the instructions, or might have been when I watched the video tutorial, you just do need to make sure that it ends up the right length. So it's got to be however many squares along this is, in order for it to fit perfectly around here and join up, and then for this to be able to sit inside. And of course you do need the Werther's Originals in there. It's very important. Oh, this is very satisfying. It's taking me back to my childhood, this is. Not that I've ever done anything quite like this before, but I'm being impatient there and letting that thread tangle up. It's a balancing act though, isn't it? If the thread is too short, I've got to keep weaving in a new piece and rethreading my needle. But if it's too long, it gets in a tangle. So right, what I'm going to do is turn the work over now and cut off that last little end of that tail. So that end is completely sewn in now. That's nice not to have a whole lot of ends to have to weave in. when you're finished. I always find that a bit of a pain. I might even get hold of one of those books with the Bargello patterns in. Really quite fancy following along some more intricate patterns. And as I say, I do have some suitable yarns and things. It would be a lovely way to use them. I'd like to try it on normal canvas as well, see what the difference is. And that's another thing about having these subscription boxes. They get you to try something new. It's a good way of exploring something new, taking it further if you want to. So I guess I'm going up again now, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now I'm going up again. So I'll go all the way along doing that. And it'll be time to change colour. Maybe when it's time to change colour I'll come back and see you again, but it could get really boring now. I'll be back in a mo. Right, so I finished that first row. No problems there. Very easy to follow the chart, so I know this is my first sheet, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the second sheet, 8, 9, 10, 11. But you need to, and they do point out in the instructions, you need to be aware that the 11th one doesn't go all the way down, it finishes just short. So you've got that top stitch, and then 1, 2, 3 on the way down. You don't go all the way down. So I've done that here. So there's my top stitch, and I've done 1, 2, 3. And now, so I'm finished with that one, so I just fasten off at the back by weaving this thread back through the stitches I've made. There we go. And now it's time to go into another colour. So it's the cream next, and that again I can see that by following the chart, or I can follow the instructions. I do love this colour combination, as you can tell, because I'm pretty much wearing it today. Funny. You'd think I'd done it on purpose. No, I'm not that organised. So I'm basically doing exactly the same thing again, really. But I just thought I'd just show you how you don't, as you might think you would come up here to start the next row. You don't. You come up where that first stitch ended, so you're coming back into that same square again, because otherwise you get a big gap in between, I guess. Oh, it's a bit hard pulling that through. Let's leave my little tail again, which I will weave in as I go. So again, I'm just skipping the 2 stitches and going back in down there. So now I'm coming up where that second stitch I made in the previous row ended. Skipping 2, 1, 2, and going down into that fourth square. So I'm just going to carry on and do a few more rows like that. I'll come back when it's time to, at the top, it just changes at the top where you end up. Look on the charts, you just cut this top stitch is going to be a little bit shorter. It's just covering 2 squares. Come up in one, miss one, go down in the third one. Instead of coming up in one, missing 2 squares and going down in the fourth one, because the top of those triangles is cut off, and then you've got to fill in the gaps. But it's all pretty self-explanatory, I think. I'm just going to carry on listening to Matthew, and apparently this should take about, did it say 4 to 5 hours time? I mean, I guess that depends on how, on your personal speed. I tend to be a slow worker at most things, but this isn't difficult, so we'll see. I started about 3:15 and it's 4 o'clock now, so that's taken me quite a while actually, hasn't it? So we'll see. I'll keep a rough eye on the time. I'll probably speed up now, I've got the hang of it anyway, and I'll let you know roughly how long it takes me altogether. But as far as I'm concerned, if it takes me a bit longer, I'm getting more value for money because I'm getting more fun out of it. maybe that's a funny way to look at it, but that's how I look at it. Okay, I'll see you again in a bit. Right, believe it or not, it's been almost a couple of hours, few interruptions but not much, so basically, well, at least an hour and a half it's taken me just to do that. So that's just the first repeat, and I need to now repeat that 3 more times. 2, 3, yeah, and then fill in the gaps here and at the top, and then I've still got to make the base. Here we are, making the base, and then stitch it all together. So say that's 2, say it's 1.5 hours, that's still 6 to finish it off. 8. It's going to be more like 9 hours than 4 to 5 for me. But it's fairly par for the course that I'm usually quite slow at things, and I'm having a lovely time. I'm finding it really relaxing to do. I'm not having to concentrate too much. Enjoying listening to Matthew Perry's book. The one thing I would say is that like they say, you don't have to finish it all in one sitting, and I think I'm going to give it a rest for today now and come back to it tomorrow, because it does get a bit, it's quite hard work getting it through the hole, especially where you're putting the yarn, you're ending up putting 2 thicknesses of yarn through the one hole. You've got to pull quite hard, and I found that I got these little jewellery pliers out, and a couple of times I needed to just grab the needle and pull with that because my thumb and finger were getting sore. So I'm not going to do it for hours and hours and give myself blisters. I want to enjoy the whole thing, but yeah, definitely really enjoying it. I love how this is. I've already sort of, started to sort of imagine what it's going to look like when it's done. Really, yeah, really happy with that. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I won't film it now again until I've finished this main body of the thing. So that way I can do it downstairs as well this evening if I feel like it. I will come back, and when I'm ready, to trim this down and make the base and stitch it together. I think the base is going to be easier to do because it's much bigger holes and it's really soft. So it's probably going to be quite quick. So yeah, I will try and keep track of the time just to give you an overall idea of how much time it takes. But as I say, for me, if it takes a bit longer to do, I'm getting more value out of it, because what I want is fun crafting time. So if I just wanted a pot, I'd just go and buy a pot, wouldn't I? It's the doing of it which is what we love about crafting. So yeah, so I will see you when I'm ready for the next stage. Right, I've finished the main part of my pot. It did take me, definitely took me longer than the estimate that they gave of 4 to 5 hours, because on average, I said I keep track of the time. On average, each of these rows took me about 20 minutes, half an hour, depending. And I did find that because these days my grip strength isn't what it was, after about an hour I was flagging a bit, and so I've had this little pair of pliers handy just to pull the yarn through if I needed a bit of help. It wasn't too tricky. I've really enjoyed it, and it's very satisfying to see it looking all lovely and neat like that. It wasn't, I didn't have to think too hard at all. Really enjoyed it, and I've been listening along to an audiobook while I've done it. So one of the most satisfying things to me is that the back side is really tidy as well for me. I've been a bit inconsistent here, look. But yeah, so I'm ready to move on to the next thing, so I thought it's time to catch up with you. One thing that strikes me is that I haven't even used half of the yarn that's here, more than half of the canvas left as well, so I can make this whole thing again. The only thing I haven't got is this, but I'm sure I can find a way to work around that. So yeah, I think I will be experimenting with other Bargello patterns inspired by what I found online. So the next thing I have to do is to trim around this piece that I've made here. Easy. Make sure I don't get too close, but I did find I referred to the sheets from time to time just to make sure I was on track, but it's just all fairly straightforward, to be honest. So I'm just I'm just cutting there, just leaving that little margin. So I'm thinking I could make a similar pot again, or I could make a little box, or I could make bookmarks. All kinds of things I could do with this. I've decided I'm going to do something a little bit different with mine. I'll make up the pot as shown in the instructions, but I'm also going to try and create handles and maybe even a couple of pom-poms just to decorate it with and kind of make it my own, you know. It's always nice to do that, isn't it? So this whole thing will wrap around. Luckily I've managed to empty all of those Werther's Originals are now gone from this pot. I don't know how that happened. So the idea is it will wrap around like this, and then you make the base as well. Okay, part 2, stitching your base. Next you will need to create the base for your pot. Take your round piece of plastic canvas, here it is. To make it the right size for your pot, you need to cut away the outer row of the plastic canvas using your scissors. Then you choose a yarn colour to stitch your base with. Thread your needle with doubled up length of yarn. Okay, doubled up this time, right. Start stitching on the outside row of the base, stitching over 3 rows each time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 kind of squares. Okay. Continue until you've stitched all the way around the base. Then you begin stitching your next row from the 3rd row of your base where you ended your first set of stitches. You'll be stitching over 3 rows again each time. Every so often you'll need to do a double stitch where 2 stitches start from the same bottom hole. Okay, I'm hoping all of that will make sense as I go along. I think I'm just going to pick this neutral colour. So I would say altogether for each repeat of this pattern, so there's 4 in each one, it's probably about an hour and a half, probably about 6 hours there. The 4 to 5 hours estimate I think is a bit off. And although I can be a bit of a slow worker, usually with stitchy things I'm reasonably quick, so yeah, I think 4 to 5 hours isn't quite realistic. But to be fair, that makes it better value for me, because what I want is the time, the fun time spent crafting. You know, it's not about the end result, you know. It's lovely to have an end result that is useful or that I can give as a gift or whatever, you know, but the main thing about this for me is the fun of is enjoying the process, you know. And if this lasts a little bit longer than 4 to 5 hours, I see that as a bonus. Cut away the outer row. All right then. That seems about right, doesn't it? The instructions and the photos were lovely and clear, but to be honest, the whole process is really quite straightforward anyway. There you go. So I've got that whole outer row off. Start stitching on the outside row of the base, stitching over 3 rows each time. So I think this is what they mean. I've just gone in. So I've got 1, 2, 3 squares here. So that is my first stitch. I think that's what they mean. Seems to look pretty much like it looks in the picture, so that's okay. And I'm assuming I can either weave. Yeah, I'll probably, as I come back round, I'll make sure these ends go in underneath the stitches. I've gone all the way round and now it's telling me to go in. So I think what I'm going to do is, this was where I went in the last time. I'm going to come up here, so that's the 3rd row. 1, 2, 3, the 3rd row. Skip 1 square, go into the next square. So that's the next 3 rows. And what it's saying is that sometimes you will need to go into the same base square twice. So you can see that, so here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches in that section. I've only got 1, 2, 3 in this row. So I'm going to need to, yeah, I think it'll be obvious as I go along. It will be obvious if I just follow the squares. So we'll see. So I feel like because that's the fourth one, yeah, I'm going to go into this base square twice. Yeah, I think that's what they mean. So it feels fairly instinctive. Yeah, this is an awful lot easier to stitch into than the this piece that I've already done. This is a doddle, it'll be really quick. But I can see why you need to have the double thickness of yarn. So that one I've gone into the same base stitch twice. So to finish off this length of thread, I'm just gonna run it underneath here, underneath these stitches in the back, snip it off and start a new piece. And I'll see you when this base is all done and I'm ready to start assembling my pot. Okay, so I've just been wittering away to myself. Forgot to push start recording. Oh dear. So I finished my base there. It's not the tidiest, but it is the base, so I don't think it matters too much. And I did show you how I did the cross in the middle, but of course I've managed to not record it. But you know, it's all very, very clearly explained here. It's really, really nice and easy to follow, and I think it looks pretty much like what they've got there. I've just chosen a different colour. So now the idea is that you bring these two short edges together to form a tube, obviously making sure that the neat side is on the outside. It's not that untidy. I mean, that's the back, that's the reverse of the work, so it's not too bad. But yeah, and then I'm just going to do a little neat overstitch, one little stitch in each of the squares you see there, just to join that together into a tube. Then when I've got the tube, I'll do the same thing, do a kind of overstitch to attach the base on, like that. So yeah, I'm going to stitch this together now. I don't think you need to sit and watch that because I'm just going to be literally overstitching. It might be a bit awkward to hold out under the camera, so I'll just get this done and I'll be back in a mo. Right, I've finished stitching that. I've stitched a seam down here in that neutral colour, and then all around here. It's a little bit fiddly, but you know, doable. I found it wanted to kind of go like this a bit, but I was just able to just coax it into shape, so that's okay. And now all I've got to do is pop my kind of paper cup thing that came in the kit inside, and I'm done. As a handy place to keep pens and things, you know, really useful in my craft room. I'm gonna just do a couple of little extra touches of my own just to make it mine. I want to try making a couple of little handles here and a bit of an edging around there. I thought about pom-poms as well, but I can't do all the ideas. I think I'm just going to have a go at that now, and I think I want them to be the yellow because I really love that yellow. So my idea is that I'll bring maybe 3 strands out. I'll mark these. This is roughly where I want my handles to be. A couple of loops for my handles like that, and then I'll do kind of a knot over the top of them. I'll show you in a sec. Totally making this up as I go along. I've really enjoyed this little project, and as it is, if just completely following the instructions, I'm very happy with how it's turned out, and I've quite enjoyed it. It's been a nice relaxing process. Took me a lot longer than the than what they said. That's probably just me being a slow worker, I don't know. I'm going to bring it out here. I'll leave a good old end so I can weave that in afterwards. So I've come out at the top of one of these points and I'm going back in the top of the next point. So I've just got this little loop here now to make a little kind of handle, just for fun really. And now what I'm thinking is I'm going to do a kind of a macrame knot around this handle that I've made. So kind of like a blanket stitch really. Making that kind of a C shape there, like a backwards D. With this lying over the top of the strands that I'm wrapping. because I'm just basically wrapping a stitch around these 2 strands to create this handle. And I'm going with my needle, I'm going underneath those strands, then back up through the loop. So it's just, I'm kind of doing like a blanket stitch, really. And you can see it starts to make this little, so you can see how that's gonna turn out. So I'll go all the way along, then take the yarn back in through to the inside, and then I'm going to weave the ends in and do the same handle on the other side. And I could also, if I wanted, I could do a little fringed top around here. I might try doing a little blanket stitch all the way around the edge just to finish it off, because at the moment it's got that sort of plastic edge, which is fine, you barely notice it, but there's enough room there to just put a little blanket stitch edging in, or maybe a little plaited edge. So if I did a chain stitch around the edge, it would look like a little plait, or I could just do a blanket stitch. So I'm going to do that now, but I've probably been going on long enough, so I'm just going to do that off camera, and I'll come back quickly in a moment and show you how that's turned out. I think I'm all done with that now. I've done a little line of chain stitch around the top, and I finished off my little handles just for show. Yeah, very happy with that. I've really enjoyed doing that. Yeah, chuffed to bits with that. That's really good. I've learned a new skill. I think I would like to try some different Bargello patterns, and there seem to be lots of sources on Pinterest and things for different patterns to use, or I could just use some squared paper and create my own. So yeah, I've got enough supplies there to have another go, make another one. So thanks again to Craftiosity for sending me that box to have a go with. I've really enjoyed it, and thank you for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you again really soon.